Hey Hearties, I'm Casey.
And I'm Cammie. Welcome to the Hearties Hotline,
your connection to Hope Valley.
We want to give a shout out to our friends at Edify Films, where you can get fabulous When Calls the Heart merchandise, like my hat.
And you can also get a fun When Calls the Heart game from our friends at the Bundle Game. Be sure to use discount code Hearties Hotline for 10% off.
We've got a fabulous episode for you today, full of laughter, tears, and heart.
So take a walk with us to Hope Valley and let's dive in. Welcome back, Hearties, to the Hearties Hotline. Today, Cammie and I are going to be discussing, very succinctly, of course, this episode, a parade and a charade. And yeah, Cammie, how'd you feel about this episode?
Let's just say that the picture behind me is the way I want to think of Nathan right now.
Yeah.
Go back to when, you know.
Yeah, let's go back to when Hope Valley was an idyllic town of men holding babies and men doing card tricks to impress the young people of Hope Valley.
I just gotta say one thing. We called it, girl.
We sure did.
Called it.
We sure did. We're gonna pause right here. We're gonna play a couple clips and we're gonna come back to you. So here is when we called it.
As he wasn't comfortable talking about it, but here's my thought. The Fort Clay assignment was supposed to be his, and he turned it down. So it should have been him there instead of Jack.
Oh, wow.
And that would support his claim that he never knew him, never served with him.
My thing is, I'm kind of wondering now if his suspension was the reason why Jack was brought to Fort Clay. Because if you remember, it was a very short thing. It was only supposed to be for 2 months. That would also serve never met Jack, never served with him, but then also having the survivor's guilt and the PTSD. Because then
it should have been him.
Should have been him.
Wow.
And he asked for a transfer after the whole suspension from Fort Clay.
I think you got it.
Okay, so you saw it here first. We called it.
Them apples.
Wow. I mean, when that, you know what? We're going to go there. We're just going to go there since we opened that can of worms.
Might as well, right?
Might as well. Let's just,
I mean, I think that this is becoming a trademark of season 8. Pull the bombs with Nathan and Elizabeth in the last 3 minutes of the episode. Honestly.
Oh man, yes. Let's talk about Fort Clay, because we all know you are all here for this conversation about Fort Clay. We'll go backwards. You know what?
Yeah, we'll go
backwards. First of all, I feel a whole lot better having seen the entire sequence, because I'm not going to lie, the previews are going to throw you off, but still, I was like, if Elizabeth is just marching up to Nathan in the middle of town and just busting out of moves and
with absolutely no provocation whatsoever. Yeah,
I was like, what? But now seeing it all in one, I still feel a little like, okay, guys, can you guys like move away from the crowd? This is Bill's day.
This into the jail or something.
Yeah,
well,
or
no,
like around the corner.
Yeah, Bill's coming out of the jail, so can't take it to the jail. But like, can we go somewhere
like around the corner? Because for me, one of my biggest pet peeves is when there's an event going on and people are talking. Like, and I'm like that.
So
happened
you
to my-
loved this last 3 minutes.
that happened at my brother's wedding when somebody kept talking to her friend, and I was like, during the I think it was my dad's speech or her parents' speech. It was the parents' speeches, and I was like, yeah. So it is a big pet peeve for me when it's somebody's moment and there's another thing that's happening that's like ruining it. It's disrespectful, people.
Well, and it ruins Bill's, I mean, not completely and totally, because they were, it didn't look like anybody was overhearing, and Lucas was just looking on.
Oh,
So,
Lucas.
yeah, but so it doesn't look like anybody was overhearing because it was so loud.
Yeah.
So that's one good thing, but it interrupts Bill's big moment.
Right.
And I mean, oh, that shot of him on the horse with the horse rearing up, I would just went, okay, that is a cool photo.
Yeah. That was totally
We're told
fun.
that there was no Photoshop involved because there's no Photoshop in 1917. But so I don't know how they got that. But however they did it, it was an awesome shot, and we're just gonna leave it at that.
We're just gonna leave it at Jack Wagner is an awesome stuntman.
Yeah, there we go.
Done.
And he looks great in a red serge.
Absolutely. But going back to Elizabeth and Nathan.
Yeah.
They're yelling at each other. Well, really, because the band is loud, about really Allie is the excuse. And then because Rosemary had prompted Elizabeth way earlier in the episode and said, maybe you just need to ask him right out.
Take the bull by the horns.
And then you see her have this moment of like, okay, it's now or never. Now or never. I'm going to ask. I know you're hiding something. Better tell me now, in today's vernacular. And when there was that split second of a pause, I was like, now you take at Rosemary's advice? Like, oh dear. And then he says the Fort Clay revelation about how he was supposed to be the one to lead the squadron. I screamed at my TV and I was like, I knew it.
I called it. I knew it.
Oh my. There's a lot. There is a lot.
Okay, so here's my question for you. Does she have cause to be angry? The situation, absolutely. She lost her husband. She has every cause to be angry at the situation. Does she have cause to be angry at Nathan?
This is a mixed bag of nuts, people. It really and truly is. And if you caught me on the Hope Valley Central Station podcast with Morgan and Carrie on their Instagram live last night, you know that I was having a lot of different feelings on this.
Yeah,
it's
sorry
hard.
I couldn't join that.
No, it's okay.
That would have been fun.
But it's hard because there's so many layers to that. It's easy to say yes or no. However, Elizabeth, okay, and taking away my frustrations with her, looking at it from an objective point of view, she is a widow. She had so many changes that happened in a very short time. Little Jack is what, less than 3 years old or so?
Yeah. Because he just turned 2 at Christmas. And because so this past Christmas he turned 2 because she found out that she was pregnant with little Jack right after Jack died. And then and she said it was a little over 3 years ago. So
right.
Yeah. That's
right. So it's about 3 years because she's losing Jack, getting pregnant, being a single mother, having to go be a working mother, a working single mother,
only being married for 2 months.
Yes.
Can we talk about that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Losing Abigail, losing, like, there have been so many changes for Elizabeth. And this episode for me was very telling in the fact that she is in a different stage of grief, in which like everything is still fresh and very hurtful and there's a lot of emotions there, because even when she talked to Minnie, she shut that conversation down. Anytime anybody references Jack, she shuts it down.
Exactly.
And
so Minnie even said that must still be very fresh for you.
Right.
And so side note, really quickly here, why is she allowed to dig into people's pain and make them talk about things to get them to feel better? But when someone tries to show a little bit of sympathy towards her and get her to open up, she's allowed to push them away. I'm like, hey, that's not nice, sweetheart. I mean, you've done plenty of pushing with the Canfield family. Let Minnie do this for you.
Well, I mean, sometimes, like, this is a very long answer to your question, but sometimes for that particular question, sometimes people who are the most helpful are the ones that can't be vulnerable enough to accept help themselves.
Oh, I'm aware.
And
I'm aware. I'm speaking strictly on a fairness basis, which fair is relative, but
well, yeah, fair is relative, but like, I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of layers for Elizabeth. Is there any cause for her to be angry? I mean, at Nathan, no, but for me, after seeing that, I'm like, oh gosh, if these two are in game, how is that gonna happen? Because if I knew that if that happened to me and my husband passed away, and it was all because somebody didn't take that position or whatever the case may be, that was the connection or whatever. If I were in Elizabeth's shoes, I would be very angry. That would be the initial knee-jerk reaction. And I think once we hear the full picture and the whole story, I think she'll realize, like, it was not Nathan's fault.
Right.
Because there are a lot of layers there. And even Allie said to Elizabeth way back, like, everybody said Uncle Nathan did everything right because he was off chasing the cattle.
Yeah, it was the same incident. A lot of people think that this is another third incident that he's being disciplined, that he had been disciplined for, but no. I don't think so. I think it's the same one where he crossed the border and made those arrests by himself. I think that's
he didn't cross the border. He couldn't, because they were about to.
They were about to cross the border, and so he disobeyed orders and went and made those arrests.
Right.
But that's the incident. That's the incident that he was being disciplined for. It's not right. It's not a third one. It's just the two that we already know about.
Right. No, there's no third one. It's the one that's what happened at Fort Clay
at Fort Clay.
That got him suspended. But the thing is too, okay, disobeying orders. First of all, if he did not disobey orders, because he was almost to the border, he was chasing them for a really long time. And we don't know if they were murdering people along the way. We don't know if it was this whole slew of murders and gangs.
Those charges of disobeying an order, that's Hargrave on his high horse. That's my opinion.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, what if he didn't? What if he obeyed orders? What if, and the cattle runners just started like a massacre of people? What if Nathan was the one to stop that? I mean, there's just so many things that we don't know about what happened at Fort Clay. I don't blame Elizabeth's reaction, because the grief, she is suppressing it so hard at this point. She's pushing it, she's shoving it under the rug, she's putting layers on it, and all of a sudden Nathan's like, here's the can of worms and let me just pry that wide open for you, because you're essentially you're forcing me to do so.
Have you seen the movie Return to Me?
No.
Fabulous movie in the early 2000s. So just really quickly, a man loses his wife in a car accident, and her heart goes to a woman who needed a heart transplant. And she finds out before he does that she's the one that has his wife's heart. She finds the letter of thankfulness and gratefulness that she wrote hidden in his den when she was going to look for a music that he asked for a music CD that he asked her to go get. And she found the letter, and she was scared to death to tell him the truth. She didn't even want to tell him that she had a heart transplant, because she didn't want to have him treating her like she was made of glass. And so then she gets up the guts to do both at the same time, which is a boom, boom, you know. So she says, a little over a year ago, I had surgery. I had a heart transplant, and he's fine with it. You know, he hugs her. He's like, oh, okay, that's a lot better than what I thought you were going to tell me. And then, oh wait, am I hurting you? No, you're fine. You're healed. Okay, you could have told me that. And then she adds another layer of saying, I have your late wife's heart. He's in love with his wife, who is now passed on. He's in love with this woman who has his wife's heart, but it's a huge shock. It's a huge shock. And he doesn't say, okay, that's fine, that's cool. He has to walk away. He has to walk away, and he has to let it gel, and he has to let the shock wear off, and just go and talk about it with his best friend, because that's a lot to handle. So, and you know, then it goes all back to, well, if I hadn't lost my wife, I wouldn't have met her, and maybe that heart was meant to be with me always, you know. So there's all of that. So there are all those layers with Nathan and Elizabeth. I never would have lost Jack, but if they're endgame, then it could be, but I never would have met Nathan. You know, it's a very, very tough situation to be in. And I don't blame her in the slightest for being angry. Because she's dealing with the loss all over again. It's like it's happening afresh. So she doesn't have any right to be angry with Nathan, but she has every right to be angry. And I think that she just needs to let the ideas settle. She needs to just walk off the shock and come back to it in a little bit.
Yeah. I'm looking here at the stages of grief, and the order is a slightly different depending on what you look, but in general, it's denial, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance. And I think in season 8, we are seeing Elizabeth kind of in denial about her grief. And then we see her into anger and bargaining, because the bargaining is like the justification, and they like, oh, but what if this could have happened? You know. And so I think it'll be interesting, because like next week, it looks like she's going to be kind of in a depressed state.
She's going through it all over again.
Yeah. And so it's definitely a hard pill to swallow. And then the other thing too is, I mean, y'all, when was Nathan going to tell her?
Oh gosh!
For real though, like if you were
say that.
Like, by the way, I was at Fort Clay, and I was supposed to leave the Jack.
I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine him telling her right when they met? Oh, Mrs. Thornton, pleasure to meet you. By the way, your husband never would have died if it hadn't been for me, because he replaced me. I mean. Talk about a prejudice right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then as more time went on,
It got harder.
Develops feelings for her, and so now how is he supposed to tell her?
Right.
I don't blame Nathan for not telling her. Yes, he should have told her, but that's in an ideal world.
And
how do you break that news, especially when you're in love with somebody?
Yeah. Even if you're friends with somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, like that is so huge. So huge. And I feel bad for him because it's like there was no time would have been the right time.
Exactly.
Like that's it. No time would have been the right time for Nathan to tell Elizabeth about what happened at Fort Clay. And I think too with Nathan, I feel bad for him also in a sense. I feel bad for Elizabeth. I feel bad for Nathan in a sense too, because he's also carrying the survivor's guilt.
Yes. He's carrying a lot of guilt over a lot of instances.
And so like that is just, it's really, it's unfathomable to like even think of. And survivor's guilt is a very weird situation.
And a very powerful one.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's a terrible situation and you don't know how to handle it. And especially in a field like police work or military work, when lives are lost, so that's part of the job. But on the other hand, if it hadn't been for you, then this woman's husband would still be here raising his son the way he was supposed to be. I mean, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
It's just, oh man.
Yeah. It's it just peels back more layers to Nathan.
Yeah.
It definitely adds more layers to Elizabeth. I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to be okay in the end. I know it will be. Though. I am glad. Yes. I actually, last night was the first time in a couple of weeks that I was like, oh, I'm relieved. But going back to that story and going back to Nathan and Elizabeth, I don't know how that's going to happen for them to end up together.
It's true. If they are endgame, we've only got 4 episodes left. I don't know how you fix this in 4 episodes. So I don't know. I can almost say I'm kind of done predicting.
Well, don't be done predicting just yet, because there's one little thing we're going to add before we switch gears and talk about Lucas.
Okay.
So on the Instagram live with Morgan and Carrie, we're just chatting, and lots of comments and stuff. And our friends at Star Watch Byline mentioned, because I said, like, I don't know how they would end up together, because this is just so much to bear and all of that. And she's like, well, what if there's another bombshell ending, and with Nathan and the adoption, and if there's some clause for Nathan to not be able to adopt Allie. And that's when the light bulb went off, because Brian Bird did say, rolling on the floor gasping, last episode, the kiss, and this is very far-fetched, may not happen, but if it does, you heard it there. You heard it on the Instagram live first, and now you're hearing it here second. But what if Bill missed a clause in the adoption paperwork that said that in order for a child to be adopted, they need to be adopted by a 2-parent household, and Nathan has to be married in order to adopt Allie, and there's a shotgun wedding at the end, and that's the kiss. I'm just saying.
Are you gonna be mad at me if I say I don't buy it?
No, I don't care. It's fun to talk about.
Okay. Elizabeth is not gonna marry Nathan.
She's so invested in Allie.
I know that, but
invested
that's
in
no, sorry.
Allie.
If she were that invested in Allie, then she would have gone to dinner, even though she didn't want to.
Her head and her heart are in different places, and we know that there's things coming. She still has her ring on. Her ring could be taken off. I think episode 11 will be very telling, because episode 12 is called The Kiss. So, I mean, you don't just flip a switch the next episode 12 and like, oh, I'm in love.
No.
However,
no, you don't.
However, with everything going on this season, I wouldn't put it past John Tinker to just bomb drop that. Just be like, oh, by the way, let's just. But here's the thing. It would make Elizabeth's love story different than Jack's. It would make the wedding completely different than Jack's. It would make her courtship different than Jack's, because they're already married. We can have a loving Leia meets Magic of Ordinary Days in Hope Valley remix with Nathan and Elizabeth. It's brilliant. You know what? And if it doesn't happen, that's okay. I have all summer to write that fan fiction. Along with the rest of the fan fictions that I'm planning to write this summer.
I think my mind could be blown anymore. My mind is blown. We're gonna have to agree to disagree, because even for a diehard Hearty and a Team Nathan girl myself, that's a little far-fetched even for me. And I write Hearty fan fiction.
You know what? So if it comes true,
if it comes true, you can laugh in my face and I'll eat my boots, but it's not gonna happen. So I'm not worried.
Oh my goodness. I mean, they did say 90 days, so lots of things can happen in 90 days.
Lots of things can happen in 14 days, but
all right. Well, we had a little bit of fun there. We had to bring I had to bring a little levity to.
Of course you did.
A little levity and a little hope to this very, very tricky topic of Nathan and Elizabeth. All right, since we're talking about Nathan, we might as well just talk about Allie.
Yeah, let's go there.
Let's go there.
Oh dear child. Okay, first of all, I don't blame her.
No, I don't either.
What preteen or young teenage girl who has a single father and a teacher that she adores hasn't played matchmaker on television or in the real world? I've seen it a million times. A young girl with a single father adores her teacher and would love nothing more than for the two of them to get married.
Yeah,
it's a tale as old as time.
Yep,
You know?
yep. It happened on TGIF. If you guys grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, Billboard Dad with Mary Kate and Ashley set their nanny up with their dad. I mean,
well, it happened on Full House with Mary Kate and Ashley. Now, it was a much older woman that they were setting daddy up with, but it's what they were trying to do.
but okay, and then here's the other thing too with Allie. Like you said, she is a young teenage girl. She is 12 or 13 years old. She is young. She's becoming an adult. Her hormones are going everywhere. Like she is an avid reader. We know that. We know that she reads a lot. And what were those books back then? They were all romance things.
They were all fairy tales.
Fairy tales.
Yes.
The Bronte sisters. Ella Montgomery. Like they were all like. And here's the other thing too.
I mean, Jane Eyre is all about a governess who falls in love with a father figure.
Boom. There you go. It's just. You can't blame her for being so angry, because the other thing too is kids do not have the brain to forethink They don't see the future. They don't say,
They do not think
if I
things
do
through.
this will happen. Allie, obviously, because she is a teenager, was not thinking of the future. That is now. I have worked with students, I've worked with teenagers, I've worked with kids my entire life.
Yeah.
And there are some things that they would do, and I'm like, but why? You do know that doing this causes this ramification, which leads to this consequence. And they're like, 90% of the time, they're like, oh,
right.
I didn't think that one through. No, you didn't think that one through. And even when I was in high school and junior high, we pulled a bunch of shenanigans, and like our youth leaders or our parents or our friends' parents would be like, yeah, dingbats. Why? Why?
I've got a 10-year-old right now who thinks she's 13, and she doesn't think things through, and she's capable of doing a lot of damage. Now, she's not a terror or anything like that, but she does things that are just like, sweetie, what are you thinking? I don't know. You know, it's just how they are.
And especially in this situation with Allie, she's thinking she's doing the right thing. She sees she wants her uncle happy. We know this.
Doing it out of concern and out of love for Nathan. Now her intentions are pure. They're misguided, but they're pure.
Right.
You know,
but for a 13-year-old who is in that stage of like having crushes and reading the Jane Austen books and not being able to forethink consequences and ramifications and all of that in her mind, it's like, oh, this is fun. Like you saw pure joy on her face when she thought she was setting up Nathan and Elizabeth last episode without thinking about the consequences for that.
She's like, hey, look, everyone's here. Isn't this great?
Right.
No, Allie, it's not.
Not to mention the card that she tore up. Now, let me just say, Jada crushing it.
Yeah, that scene.
Crushing it.
Okay, can I let the cat out of the bag?
Go ahead.
Yes, got emotional in that scene. She did. She got misty. She got misty in that scene.
That's the scene she got misty at?
That's the scene. She's gonna hate me now.
Okay. Hey, Jess. Wow. That was wow. Huh.
Yeah, but that's the scene. Wow. I didn't notice until the second time through because I was so focused on reading the writing. I was like, oh wait, there's writing in there. Mm-hmm. And you know, and it said to dinner, but then the second time through that I watched it, I went, oh my gosh, that's a picture of Nathan and Elizabeth at the table. Mm-hmm. Nobody else. You know, I mean.
Ew. Poor Allie, though. I mean, the kid has also had abandonment issues.
Yes.
She was 4 when her mother died.
So much. Now, that's not an excuse because I know that kids think that because they've gone through so much, they can get away with it. I know kids like that.
But that's not even that situation here.
No, she's not trying to be cruel. She's not trying to be mean. She honestly thought she was doing the best thing for her uncle, and she just didn't think. She just wants a happy ending with a happy family. Yeah. You can't blame a kid for that, you know?
And she hasn't even had a stable childhood.
No.
To be taught these things, to be taught like, hey, no, ma'am, we do not do this. No, ma'am, we do not do this either. That is not right. Think about it. Like, she lost her mom when she was 4. Her dad ran out on her. She had to leave her grandma because her grandma was getting old. Her grandfather wasn't in the picture. Uncle Nathan was
living with a single man who has no idea how girls work.
Bouncing fort to fort. Not to mention, and he's not even her dad, it's her uncle. So that's even one step removed because it's one thing if it's your kid. It's another thing if it's a uncle-niece relationship. They moved from fort to fort. When she came in, she was this kind of like a ragamuffin kid, you know, like with a bit of I don't know, slang and like, hey, what are you doing? I'm just going fishing. Nah, it's all good. My uncle's fine. Like she's like this little country bumpkin kid and skipping school to go fishing. And it wasn't until she found her community in Hope Valley that she started putting down roots and she started maturing into the young lady that she's becoming. She's still rough around the edges,
and like Nathan said, she felt safe here.
Yeah.
She felt safe here. She felt able to open up. So
there's just so much with Allie. And like, if anything, remember, she's a kid. She's a kid. That's not an excuse, and it's not like she's doing any. The thing is, she's not doing anything malicious. In her mind, she's just in an idyllic world, as most young girls are, and she's still learning. And there is no malice with it either. It's one thing if she was being malicious about this whole situation, and of course, because she now feels that Elizabeth is also abandoning her by not accepting her uncle. Like, you reject my uncle is equivalent of you rejecting me.
Right.
Of course she's going to get angry. Of course she's going to rip up the card. I mean, I did that when I was a kid. There was one time somebody hurt me and I was like, yeah, okay, we're done. Like, crumpled it all up, threw it. Like, really? And like, was that right? Was that right of Allie? No. Was it right of me? No, my attitude sucks. But like, again, having to understand that they're children.
Now, all of this being said, we have to give kudos to Elizabeth, because I think that it would have been inappropriate for her to go.
Oh, 100%.
It would have been inappropriate for her to go. So it was a good thing for Elizabeth to say no. And I love how she did it. She said, this card is beautiful. You worked very, very hard on it. She's acknowledging all of the work and the thought and the planning that Allie has gone to. I mean, Allie even went and asked Laura if she would babysit, but then she covered the basis of, if Laura can't babysit, or if Elizabeth wants to bring little Jack, you can bring little Jack. You know, I mean, she thought of everything except making sure it was okay.
And not to mention that Elizabeth was 5 feet from Abigail's when she ditched them the first time too.
Let's talk about that. No, let's not talk about that.
No, I mean, but the thing is, like, you can't help. If you go into Allie's 13-year-old brain, you can see where the rocks were rolling. You know,
they haven't been to dinner yet. She feels owed. Yeah, she feels owed. Yeah, because they never did, and it was basically a promise because they were 5 feet from the cafe.
Yeah,
but yes, but things being how they are, and with things rolling with Lucas, and she even says, I'm seeing Mr. Bouchard, and I knew that before Uncle Nathan told me. Oh. Allie's not stupid. She doesn't think, but she's not stupid.
Well, yeah, kids are very perceptive.
Right, exactly. But yeah, Elizabeth was right. Elizabeth was right to not go and to not accept. It was a very sad way that the situation folded out, but I should say unfolded. It was a very sad situation the way it unfolded, but it was the right thing to do in that moment.
I will say, I did appreciate Elizabeth in that moment. I also appreciated the way that she didn't just say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, goodbye." She's like, "Can we talk about it?"
She wanted to talk about it.
Let's clear the air here. It's, I can see Elizabeth saying, "It's not you, it's me. I care about you. Your uncle's a good friend. It's just not right." Just something. I can appreciate where Elizabeth was going in that moment, because she could have easily just written Allie off, and that would have just made the whole thing worse. Yeah. I mean, this whole thing is really bad at this point, but I will give kudos to Elizabeth in that moment. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But a place where I will not give kudos to Elizabeth is at the very, very beginning, where she gets off her horse and immediately starts accusing Nathan. It's like, honey, did you check every step of something when you had your own plans with your father or mother? can we talk about coming to Coal Valley in the first place?
I mean,
she immediately starts attacking him, and he said, did it ever occur to you that I was just as surprised as you were?
like, yeah, I did not like that scene. I did not like that exchange. I'm already conflict averse. I don't I was like, but why are we doing this right now?
I mean, and Nathan was willing to talk about it. You know, she just comes up and says, I'd like to discuss what happened the other day. And he says, at the adoption ceremony. Yes, at the adoption ceremony. And oh my gosh, somebody is on a hot streak, you know?
Yeah, that moment just rubbed me the wrong way, because I was like, Elizabeth, nobody owes you an explanation. Like, do you really think that Nathan would go that far? I mean, seriously.
I mean, and did she see how embarrassed and shocked he was?
Yeah.
She was too busy being shocked and embarrassed herself that she didn't see the fact that Nathan had no clue that this was Allie's plan. Kids are conniving. Kids are conniving. They go behind their parents' backs to do things because they're trying to surprise them, or they're trying to be sneaky or whatever. And sometimes it's fabulous when they go behind your back to vacuum their room. It's not so good when they go behind your back to put you in a very uncomfortable and awkward situation with somebody that you've already rejected, you know?
Right. And another thing too is I assume that Nathan did not straight up tell Allie, hey, Allie, let's have this talk. So I told your teacher I loved her and she rejected me and I honestly think Allie has no idea what has happened in the background. For all she's seeing is
not those specifics.
No. All she knows is that her uncle has a crush on Mrs. Thornton. Mrs. Thornton is seeing Mr. Bouchard. But hey, you know what? I can play matchmaker. It's fine. Emma did it. Emma from Jane Austen, that is.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay. Let me get a hint from her. And I mean, you know, it's just there's no way she would have done, like, there's no way she would have done that just for, like, you know, to be malicious, to hurt people, whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just
yeah, I think that Elizabeth needed to cool her jets just a tiny bit before going and discussing that with Nathan.
She did.
Now, that being said, Nathan did try to talk about it with Allie. And then it happens off screen, but he did. Mm-hmm. And Allie apologizes. That was wrong, and I'm sorry. And, you know, he's trying to address it when we see him on screen, but unfortunately, Granville doesn't lock their cell doors.
That was a pretty classic line.
That was a really great line. But yeah, it's just, you know, he sat her down, and when he didn't know that the message was urgent, he said, sorry, Florence, can't talk right now. And like, you know, Florence like, no, you need to come now.
Right now.
So yeah, Nathan is doing all he can to try to fix the situation on top of everything else that he's dealing with. Now, was he right 100% of the time? No. He had some bad form. I'm not going to deny it. There were a couple of times in this episode when I went, Nathan, sweetheart, no.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay,
let's talk about that. So
just to finish my thought, you know, I mean, Elizabeth did not have to come full throttle with guns blazing.
Right. And that's the first time we see Nathan tell Lucas to save it. And then his words are used against him when he rides up to the oil derricks. And, you know, I had high hopes for this episode when Nathan, you know, came up, I was thinking that maybe he was there to arrest Christopher.
Whoa!
Or like Christopher was the one that had escaped prison or something like that. And he was like, no, I'm actually here for an arrest. But it totally went a whole different direction. I'm not gonna lie, y'all know I'm Team Nathan, but in this moment I was like, bruh. Why are you talking right now? Oh,
God, that's
why?
like a man code. That's a man code. You do not go up to somebody and in our vernacular say, dude, you better watch out because I'm stealing your girl. You know,
Why? You know that gif of Nathan and the guys in the saloon for the bachelor party, and he's like, why?
yeah, oh yeah, why?
That's me. That is me.
Yes, that's me.
Nathan. That is, Abigail needs to come back and sit some of these guys down, more particularly Mr. Nathan Grant, and say, you catch more flies with honey. AKA, don't go telling another man that you're going to steal his girl. It's some people are like, he's being upfront about it. And I'm like, yeah, you can be upfront in a different way, though. You don't have to go, like, what business did you have being at the oil derricks? Like, maybe he's doing his rounds. Okay, fine, whatever, blah, blah. But, like, but seriously, like, no.
I'm glad he's not giving up. We're Team Nathan. We want him to win, yes.
But not that way.
I'm glad he's not giving up, but that was not the way to tell him that you're not. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. You don't need to tell him you're not giving up.
Yeah, no. For a man with economical words, like that was not the time to use your words, son. No, Nathan's about to give us a heart attack over here. Oh my gosh. Okay, but let's talk about Lucas. Let's talk about the man of the hour, the man who can obviously do no wrong right now because like he's checking off all the boxes.
He's being called Saint Lucas by some people, which I will half agree and half not agree. I half not agree because, I mean, the man's in a very difficult situation and he's a very prim and proper person, so he is handling it the way Lucas would handle it. However, the man's not making a single wrong step. That's a little unrealistic. You know?
Oh my goodness. Lucas. In that moment, here's the thing with the exchange with Nathan, and apparently this is a tiny little candle. Apparently this is gonna like they're gonna hold like a whole bunch of little candles to go off and sparklers and all of that jazz for their next
apparently
exchange.
This is a taste of another scene between Nathan and Lucas. Oh boy.
But I will say my one grouse about Lucas in this moment with Nathan.
Go ahead, you can say it.
Nathan, he could have used this opportunity to tell Nathan, well, let me back up. Lucas was basically, he took the high road, right?
Yeah.
He took the high road when Nathan came at him. However, my grouse with that is what he said was basically, that's fine, but you better have Allie and Elizabeth's best interests at heart or in mind or whatever, something along those lines. And to me, especially with this running theme in season 8 being love is worth fighting for, those words did not equate in my mind to love is worth fighting for. That equated to me, I'm willing to give her up if that's what she wants and I'll be fine with it. But you like, you know, that's fine. You can have her. It was kind of like that idea that I was kind of getting. Not so much, not so flippantly. I say that very flippantly. I don't mean it in a flippant way. It's just that I feel like he could have said something different. Like, I'm sorry. What's done is done. Move along.
Or something. Yeah.
Something along the lines to just shut that down and just be like, there's nothing more here to be said.
Yeah. I mean, my husband, he pulled that when we first started getting to know each other, he pulled that whole line on me. I just want you to be happy. I'm like, you do realize that I'm basically waiting for somebody else to come home from a mission trip. I'm like, yeah, I know. But in his head, he said, I got an entire year before the guy comes home, so I'm going to win her heart. You know? But when we had gone out on some dates over a few months, and I came right out and said to him, Will, I don't feel right about this. I do not feel right stringing you along when in 6 months this guy is going to come home. I don't feel that way about you, and so we're going to get married and live happily ever after. Then what happens to you? No, you and I need to stop spending time together. I'm not comfortable with this. And he was heartbroken. He couldn't be in the same room with me. He cried anytime that I even approached him. You know, so and then when other guys just around the area showed a little bit of interest in me, he got all territorial, and it made me mad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that I feel is a true response to, I just want you to be happy. You know,
Right.
Yes, they want you to be happy, but when you've got them, and if there's a chance that they're slipping through your fingers, you don't want that to happen.
Right.
And you either
slip.
You either grip tighter, not too tight, but you either grip tighter or you relinquish and you're devastated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so so I do have to agree with you. It was smart to not let Nathan provoke him. And you know, when I think about it long and hard, that may be what he was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas may have been saying, well, you can try.
That's true.
You know, with you can do whatever you want.
That's true.
That's true. He could have been saying, well, you can try, but don't you dare hurt her. Don't you dare hurt Allie, which is once again very big of him to include Allie in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see the whole he didn't fight for her thing. But when you go a little deeper, maybe another motive is, well, you can try, but you're not going to win. You know, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, that's true too. That is true. I do like that thought better because he is a very secure man. He didn't confident.
Let Nathan provoke him, which Nathan was entirely trying to provoke him. Dude, stop it. You know?
Simmer down now.
Are you talking to me or Nathan?
Oh, Nathan needs to simmer down.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh. Well, let's talk about happy things with Lucas. Well, depending on what team you're on. Well, you know what? Let's just all be happy right now.
Let's all be happy.
Let's just all be happy. I'll be happy. So fun story. My girls, I think it's because they get to stay up and they get to watch When Calls the Heart.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's because they get to stay up late. But they were like, oh, When Calls the Heart, don't start it without me. And, you know, we're all sitting on the couch. My daughter turned off all the lights in the house. So it's just the TV on.
Oh, man.
And the scene where Lucas and Elizabeth are in the office and they sit next to each other and they have that moment and he kisses her hand. You guys know I'm Team Nathan, so I'm over here like this. Like, I'm trying to be really supportive. I'm trying to be a supportive friend. I'm rocking back and forth. And my daughter, my 5-year-old, was like, Mommy, they're kissing. And I was like, what? Because I didn't see it. I was literally like, I think at the moment I must have blinked really long. And I had to pause it. And I'm like, wait, we need to go back. So I rewatched the scene. And I was like, oh, he kissed her hand. He kissed her hand. Okay. And my daughter's just flipping out. She's like, oh, Lucas. And I'm like, uh-huh.
Okay. So those of you who have been following my Nathan and Lucas showdown, when I did it on my blog, I used to call it Face Off Friday. So those of you who have been following my Nathan Lucas showdown, as of Saturday, so not including episode 8, at the end of episode 7, the inclusive totals are Lucas 54, Nathan 46. I have not totaled up everything for this episode, but I do want to share, all of you will be very, very pleased to know, well, not all of you, but the fact that Lucas kissed her hand, he gets 2 points. And I've already decided right now, a kiss on the hand is 2 points, a kiss on the cheek is 3 points, a kiss on the forehead is 5 points, because that's just amazing. And then a kiss is 10 points. So I am saying that before anything else happens. I'm laying it out.
There you go. There you have it, Hearties.
Oh,
but
but yeah, I had to give it to him. I had to give it to him because in that moment, the fact that he held back from kissing her at all is, I don't know how he had that kind of willpower. They were a centimeter away from each other, and she took his hand. I mean, it would have been the perfect moment for him to move in, and then he didn't, because he is doing everything in his power to respect her wishes, even when she's making the moves. And then he kissed her hand. And so I was like, I gotta do it. I gotta give him 2 points for the kiss on the hand.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was nice to see him respect her.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
I do find it very interesting that he had the opportunity. Elizabeth was opening that door. She was sending him very strong signals in that moment where he could have taken that opportunity. I find it interesting that he didn't. It's
so
one.
Do you think it's a good thing as far as Lucas is concerned? Because I know Team Nathan, we don't want her to kiss Lucas, we want her to kiss Nathan. But I mean, being objective here, was it a good thing that he didn't kiss her, or was it a bad thing that he didn't kiss her?
Okay, for Lucas, it was it was a good thing for him to get the signal. For Elizabeth and Lucas, it was a bad thing that he didn't feel comfortable kissing her, because at this point in the relationship, there should be a little bit of PDA. I mean, I'm not talking about something PG-13 or anything. I'm just talking about, like, it's a natural thing when you are in love with someone, you're gonna kiss them, like a nice sweet kiss on the lips. Like, it's a thing that happens. And I feel like it's not good if something is holding him back. And he claims he wants to be patient. He claims he's, respectful of her and her wishes. But I'm just saying, he has witnessed Elizabeth choosing to go with Allie to the inquiry. He has been there when Nathan has turned the corner and Elizabeth's like staring after him. He's been there when they had that confrontation in the street. This episode, we see him with his teacup again, or his cup of coffee, as my daughter called it, watching the exchange between Nathan and Elizabeth. And I think that, like, here's the thing. Lucas sees the writing on the wall. He knows, and he can read people. He's a gambler. He knows what poker face is. And I think he can tell that Elizabeth's heart and her head are in two different places, and she's fighting that. However, she is a woman that he would be so happy and so in love with and would be thrilled to marry and start a life with. Essentially, I mean, I don't say that she's a perfect person, but to him, she's like the perfect woman. She's got it all. She's got great looks. She's very talented. She loves children. She's a writer. Like, she's the full package for him. So of course he's not gonna say no. He's gonna take that gamble because he is a gambler. Mm-hmm. Love for him, especially not having grown up in a very lovey-dovey kind of home, in his mind, it's almost like love is a gamble. And that's a risk that he is worth. That's a risk that she is worth taking. He will risk it for her. But I think it's interesting that he didn't go there. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think there's something telling him like, you've got to, no, there's something not right here. And I think that's what stopped him. Because if he didn't have those inklings, he would have gone for it.
You think so?
Oh yeah, I think so. Especially because she was opening the doors.
She all but flung him. You know? She all but flung him. I mean, number one, she pats the seat next to her on that incredibly small chair.
I was gonna say that was a tiny little bench.
Why? But, and then we got the stare. We got the lip stare. We got the hand reaching. We got the holding, and we got the finger caressing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, wow. You know, it's just, I mean, if that had been a scene with Jack, I would have said, "You idiot! Why didn't you kiss her?" So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think something is holding Lucas back, and I think it's the fact that he sees the writing on the wall, but he wants to be sure. Because she's also, here's the other thing too. He knows she's an honorable woman. She's only gonna kiss
that's
the person
the thing.
that
see that's the thing. I do think that he probably does see some writing on the wall, but on the other hand, he knows that her head and her heart are not fully in sync, and he doesn't want her to do something that not that she'll regret. I don't think that she would regret kissing Lucas at this point because she is seeing him. But he doesn't want to put her in a situation that she would find emotionally compromising in any way. He even says, I want to make sure you're comfortable. And, you know, her face showed that she was definitely moving in, but that she was terrified. You know, I mean, she looked very scared to do the move in, but she felt like she needed to. I don't know exactly why, but she felt like she needed to do the move in.
Yeah. And I mean, it was a cozy moment. She was snuggling up there on a tiny bench and dim lights, and his office is really, really just lovely, fantastic.
Yeah, I want for you to be really comfortable. I think it's very kind of you to sit here with me. And oh my gosh, when he leaned forward and he opened his mouth, I was like, oh my word. And then he says, I'm like, oh my gosh, Lucas, don't do that to me. You know? So I think it's very kind of you to sit here with me, but I think perhaps you should go. I want to be patient. I want for you to be really comfortable. And then Elizabeth says, thank you for being patient. And Lucas says, thank you for coming. I mean, you gotta give kudos to the man. He's got the willpower. He's got willpower the size of the Titanic.
No kidding. My goodness. Oh my.
I don't know how he does it, but okay.
Right? I 4 more episodes, you guys. 4 more episodes till this whole love triangle is over.
And we could just start gushing about the love story moving forward with whoever it is.
Yes. Let's move on to other storylines in here.
Good idea. After how long?
I know. Oh, you guys, this is such a long episode, but you know, you're all here for it. You join us every week. You know what to expect. We'll try and wrap it up sooner than later, though. But Faith and Carson, this couple confuses me. I'll be honest. I think a breakup is coming. I think Carson is leaving, although it would be a plot twist if Faith just decided to leave. Like, we all think this one thing and then the opposite happens.
Yep.
It's it kind of makes me sad because so I was willing to give them a shot together as a couple just because like, hey, why not? Like that's fun, whatever. But I think I really miss their friendship that we saw in
Oh.
earlier seasons, season 4 and season 5. I really miss they gelled so much in those early seasons of them working together in the infirmary, and they were so in sync. And and when they do an operation, they are, but they're together right now in this relationship that they have. I'm like,
I like Faith and Carson as a couple. I think they're sweet. I think they're cute. My husband, it's funny because when he watched season 6 and 7 with me, he said, I think I like them the best. They're the best couple in here because their relationship has been the most stable and the most moving forward at the right pace and all of that. And now I'm just like, Faith is going a little bit on the moody side. And my roommates and I in college of my junior year, we had this joke that my opinion may change, but the fact that I'm right never will. And that is kind of reminding me of what Faith is doing. She's mad at him because he won't take the fellowship, and now he's actually changed his mind. He's listening to her, and now she's upset that he's taking. She's being a tiny bit moody.
Yeah, that's the confusing part about it, because that's very unlike Faith. I feel like
it is.
I feel like it's very Carson. I can see the whole back and forth, because when you get to a certain level of your job, you want to do something different. You want to do something new. You want to keep learning. You want to keep growing. I get that. I get the whole, and that's a big decision. Going to Baltimore, staying here, taking the, that's
a huge
big decision. I can see that. I can understand the indecisiveness there. But for Faith has always been the kind of that stable person, very level-headed, very like logical. And this season has been very confusing for me with her, because she does come across as a bit more wishy-washy in not the best way because of her attitude towards Carson.
Yeah, I mean, here's one thing I will say. Because of the fact that they've been butting heads so often, and he's been saying it doesn't matter, we need to be together, and she's been saying go go go, so it's kind of like the gift of the magi. They both decided to listen to each other at the same time.
Right.
So she had accepted the idea of going to Baltimore, but then she changed her mind back in a matter of about 2 seconds.
Right.
So
right.
I can understand that she had gotten comfortable with the idea and then changed her mind, and then I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if she was a little bit mad at herself in there. Yeah, it just, it's a little rough.
And the next episode, he says, "Marry me," and I'm like,
talk about an ultimatum.
Oh my! We can't. Okay, first of all, Carson, you can't lose 2 doctors. Like, I'm sorry, Molly, I'm sure she's learned a lot, but she can't take care of all these people. Like,
not a doctor.
No, she's not a doctor. She's not even a nurse. Like, and second of all, that how illogical. And third, Faith has said that she's comfortable in Hope Valley. That's her home. So, I don't know.
When she changed her mind for the umpteenth time.
I don't know. We'll see what happens to these two, but boy, it's something else.
Could Carson have said it a tiny bit more romantically? I mean, that's
we'll get married.
I mean, we'll do that. We'll do that next week. But I was just like, really, Carson? A man who serenades his girlfriend with a guitar, you just look at her and sit beside her and say, we could get married? Come on.
I feel like they're part of the roller coaster. So Elizabeth and Nathan and Lucas, the triangle's been like, yoo, yoo, yoo. For Faith and Carson, we started like, we were like here at the beginning and we went like here. And then we just, it's just a never ending abyss. Like we just keep going down this ravine and we're sad. We're just sad. All right. Really quick in the last 5 minutes here, or 6 minutes. Christopher and Rachel. First of all, I'm mad that I defended that girl for not seeing the pocket watch stealing because I looked out my window. I looked out my window and I'm like, you saw a cute boy. I can't see cute boys down my window.
I don't want to be the one to say I told you so.
Whatever. But anyways, well, listen, they were not setting it up that way. But I was like, but for real though, how can you see that? I just need to go to Jamestown and I just need to go to Hope Valley, stand in the window and see the people coming down to the next HFR, whatever that may be.
I told you though.
But anyways, that whole flirty banter thing with Christopher was very interesting.
It was.
I thought it was
very interesting.
I thought it was going to go a whole different direction than it did, and I'm really happy with the way it ended. I'm really happy. There was no happy ending. I'm really happy and for the sheer fact of that's life. Sometimes people miss each other.
Yeah.
There are friends for a reason, a season, and for life. And obviously that was a time and a season for Rachel. It was kind of her way to kind of spread her wings and kind of.
Well, I don't know if Rachel's gone for good. We still got 4 episodes left.
No, she was going home.
She was going home for her birthday. And she said to Rosemary, I'm worried that mother won't let me come back. And Rosemary said, you let me worry about that. So I think there's a possibility that Rachel might be coming home, might be coming back again.
I don't think it's going to be this season.
Never know.
You never know, but I just...
Especially with this season, we really don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, logically speaking, with the cast and how big it's become and just all the different storylines, especially now that we're in the last 4, she'd just be another filler. I don't know. That was just my thought, but
it's possible.
It is possible. It is possible. But it was nice to see that, almost like that missed opportunity, because I think it probably taught Christopher a little lesson there in life, because he was so consumed with avoiding Henry.
Yeah.
That he missed out on saying goodbye to Rachel.
And it I was getting ticked off at Rachel for not telling Christopher to return the watch. It was like, girlfriend, you know that he stole your uncle's watch. What is your problem with Uncle Lee? Tell him to return your uncle's watch.
Right. Like, you do know who you're dealing with. Now, like, because Rosemary would lock you up in your room if she knew that you knew about the watch.
But I mean, good on Christopher for putting it back. I mean, he didn't own up to what he did, which would have gotten him a few extra brownie points, but
he did put it back. So
he put it back. And it has been returned, and so we got to give him credit for that.
Yeah.
But
now
it would have been better, but
yeah. Now I also found it interesting. I keep saying that word. I need to find a new word. Rachel and Christopher's talk at night in town, when she basically should be talking to other people in town, giving them that same advice about you're too afraid to get close because you're afraid you're going to get hurt, and etc.
But if she had been talking to other people in town, we would have missed out on that sweet kiss.
Ah, that's true.
Second kiss for the two of them. Ooh la la.
I don't know, but I thought that was very, for somebody who grew up very sheltered and very young, that was very profound for her to tell him that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that she has watched her mother not deal with losing people. And so even though she's sheltered in some areas, I don't think that she's probably sheltered in losing people.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that, and she said it in a very sweet, unassuming way.
Yeah. It was very sweet. And it was very
just
much telling a friend, like, hey.
And maybe this and maybe that. It was almost as if she was figuring it out as she was going along. So, and then, it didn't surprise me one bit that she started throwing things at him and then leaned in and kissed him because she's like, I'm wild, I'm free. I kept saying, don't make a mess of the shop. Don't make a mess of the shop. Aunt Rosemary's coming back. You're going to be.
Aunt Rosemary's going to know.
And then it was just so sweet when Christopher said nothing could keep me. It was just sad that it didn't keep him, but it kept him away for the appropriate amount of time to get her to leave.
Yeah.
So
we'll
kind of a missed window.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
I still think she's coming back because there was this big conversation about she's just going home for her birthday and she's afraid that mother won't let her come home, and Rosemary says, you let me worry about that. I still think there's a possibility.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. Alrighty, y'all.
Wait. We got to do one more shout out. The Postables shout out.
Oh, yes.
I'm dying. Robert comes in as the substitute mail carrier. He says, neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays. And then Ned finishes for him, this courier from the swift completion of his appointed rounds. It's like, oh, give it up for Oliver O'Toole.
That did make me giggle, and I did have to say, shout out to the Postables for sure.
Shout out to the Postables in Hope Valley.
Now that would be an interesting crossover.
Well, we've talked about it 100 times. Oliver would fit right in. Just get that man a time machine.
There you go. Well, Hearties, thanks for coming along this very long discussion of this episode. There was a lot to talk about, a lot to cover.
There was a lot to peel away.
There really was.
Yeah.
It really was. And there's just so many feelings and so many emotions. I will say the feedback that we've gotten about this episode, most people enjoyed it fairly well compared to the last few episodes, which is good. And that was kind of like the feeling I got after watching the whole episode. And I went, oh,
it was good.
Yeah. Okay. We're back to the storytelling of the Hope Valley that,
Yeah, it was a good, strong episode.
It was a good, strong episode.
A lot of caveats.
Yes, it did. And before we wrap it up, just one small thing. The game at the bachelorette party. Blindfold pairs.
That's next week, Casey.
I know, but I'm scared again. Oh no, this triangle.
Hearties, just plug your ears for a second while she gets it out. She'll be done in a second.
All right. I can't, you guys. I know no. Alrighty, Hearties. We will see you next week as we continue our journey through Hope Valley. Bye!
Bye, Hearties.